Life is a tapestry woven with threads of time, each moment a stitch that contributes to the larger picture. We often find ourselves caught in the rush of our own desires, pushing against the clock, trying to bend time to our will. We plan, we strive, we hustle, convinced that our efforts will yield the fruits we seek. Yet the truth is, time is not ours to command. It is a river that flows at its own pace, and we are but travelers navigating its currents. I remember a time when I was so fixated on achieving a particular goal that I lost sight of everything else. I had a vision for my life, a roadmap that I believed would lead me to happiness and success. I poured my energy into that vision, sacrificing relationships, moments of joy, and even my own well-being. I thought I was being diligent, that I was doing what was necessary to achieve my dreams. But in my relentless pursuit, I neglected the beauty of the present moment. It wasn't until I faced a significant setback that I began to understand the concept of God's timing. I had put all my eggs in one basket, convinced that this one opportunity was my ticket to the life I envisioned. I worked tirelessly, day and night, pouring my soul into it. But when the moment came, when I thought I would finally reap the rewards of my labor, it all crumbled before me. The opportunity slipped through my fingers, leaving me empty-handed and disillusioned. In the aftermath, I was consumed by frustration and anger. I questioned everything, my efforts, my choices, even my faith. How could this happen? I had done everything right, or so I thought. I felt abandoned, as if the universe had conspired against me. But in that space of despair, I began to reflect. I started to see the patterns in my life, the moments that had led me to this point. I realized that perhaps this setback was not a punishment but a redirection. As I sat in that quiet moment of reflection, I began to recognize the subtle ways in which God had been guiding me all along. There were signs I had overlooked, moments that had nudged me in a different direction, whispers of intuition I had silenced in my haste. I remembered instances where I had been saved from making decisions that would have led me down a path of heartache or regret. It dawned on me that while I had been so focused on my own timeline, there was a greater plan at work, one that I was not privy to. God's timing is often a mystery, a divine orchestration that unfolds in ways we cannot comprehend. We are like actors in a grand play, each with our own script, yet part of a larger narrative. It's easy to feel lost when we are not the ones holding the pen. But that's the beauty of it. When we surrender our need for control, we open ourselves to the possibility of something far greater than we could ever imagine. I began to embrace the idea that maybe my dreams were not being denied. They were simply being refined. The universe was not against me. It was conspiring for my good. I learned to trust the process, to allow life to unfold at its own pace. I started to see the value in waiting, in patience. It's in those moments of stillness that we often find clarity, that we can hear the gentle whispers of our heart guiding us toward our true path. As I navigated this new understanding, I found myself drawn to the stories of others who had faced similar challenges. I listened to their journeys, their struggles, and their eventual triumphs. There was a common thread. Each of them had encountered moments of doubt, times when they felt lost or abandoned. Yet, in the end, they emerged stronger, wiser, and more aligned with their true purpose. It struck me how often we share our successes, but we shy away from our failures. We curate our lives to present a polished facade, hiding the messy, tumultuous moments that shape us. But it's in those moments of vulnerability that we connect with one another. We find solace in the shared experience of being human, of grappling with uncertainty, and of learning to trust the timing of our lives. I began to reframe my perspective on waiting. Instead of seeing it as a burden, I started to view it as an opportunity for growth. I took the time to invest in myself, to nurture my passions, and to cultivate relationships that mattered. I learned to appreciate the beauty of the present moment, to find joy in the little things that had previously gone unnoticed. I discovered that there is richness in the waiting, a depth that can only be found when we allow ourselves to be fully present. God's timing is not just about waiting for our dreams to materialize. It's about understanding the lessons that come along the way. It's about recognizing that every experience, every setback, every triumph is part of our journey. We are constantly evolving, growing into the people we are meant to be. And sometimes that growth requires us to step back, to pause, to reflect. In the stillness, we find answers. In the waiting, we find strength. And in the uncertainty, we find faith. Faith that things will unfold as they should, that we are being guided toward our highest good, even when the path seems unclear. It's a reminder that we are not alone in this journey. We are supported by a force greater than ourselves, a divine presence that sees the bigger picture. The Bible is filled with stories that illustrate the beauty and purpose of God's timing. Let's look at a few examples. Abraham and Sarah, Joseph's journey, the Israelites in the wilderness. As I embraced this understanding, I began to let go of my rigid expectations. I learned to celebrate the small victories, to find gratitude in the journey, rather than fixating solely on the destination. I started to see each day as a gift, an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to connect with others. I discovered that life is not a race. It's a beautiful, intricate dance that unfolds in its own time. And then, as if on cue, the universe began to align. New opportunities presented themselves, ones that felt more authentic, more in sync with who I had become. I found myself stepping into roles that resonated deeply with my soul, ones that I had not even considered before. It was as if the pieces of the puzzle were finally falling into place, not because I had forced them, but because I had allowed them to be. I realized that God's timing is not about the absence of struggle. Rather, it's about the presence of purpose. Every challenge I faced was shaping me, preparing me for what was to come. The setbacks were not failures. They were stepping stones, each one leading me closer to my true calling. I began to see the beauty in the journey itself, in the twists and turns that had brought me to this point. In moments of doubt, I would remind myself of the times when everything seemed to fall into place, just when I needed it most. There were times when I had been worried about my future, only to find that the very thing I feared became the catalyst for my greatest growth. I learned to trust that even when I couldn't see the path ahead, there was a plan unfolding, a plan that was intricately woven into the fabric of my life. As I stand here today, I am filled with gratitude for the lessons I've learned about God's timing. I have come to understand that it is not a matter of waiting for the right moment. It's about being fully present in each moment. It's about embracing the journey, with all its highs and lows, and trusting that everything happens for a reason. I am reminded that life is a series of seasons, each one bringing its own gifts and challenges. Just as nature has its cycles, so do we. There are times of planting, times of growth, and times of harvest. Each season is essential, each one contributing to our evolution. And while we may long for the blooms of spring, we must also honor the winter, for it is in the stillness that we prepare for what is to come. So I invite you to reflect on your own journey. Consider the moments when you felt lost or uncertain. Think about the times when you were waiting for something to happen, only to discover that the waiting was part of the process. Embrace the idea that you are exactly where you need to be, even if it doesn't feel that way right now. Trust in the timing of your life. Allow yourself to be present in each moment, to find joy in the journey, and to have faith that everything is unfolding as it should. Remember that you are not alone. You are part of a greater narrative, one that is beautifully orchestrated by a divine hand. And as you move forward, may you find peace in the knowledge that God's timing is always perfect, even when we don't understand it.